Now that we have covered dividends in detail, let's talk about another corporate action that investors have to often make sense of. And these are known as stock splits. Now, what is stock splits? Basically, the name itself gives it away. The word split means to break into different parts. To put it simply, this is what a stock split is. But you simply break the company's stock into multiple parts. Hence, the number of shares of a company will also increase. Now, you might be thinking, why do companies do this? Now, do the fundamentals of the company change if there's a stock split? Or will the share price increase or decrease because of this? Now, don't worry, we will answer all of these questions in this episode. Now, first, let's understand what is a stock split. Now, to understand stock split, I'm going to give you a simple example. Now, on May 25, 2020, HER Motors announced a 10:1 stock split. Now, here, that semicolon in the middle can be read as for, which means HER Motors announced a 10-for-1 split. This basically means that each share of HER Motors will be broken down into 10 different parts or 10 different shares, and investors in the company will get 10 shares for each share they hold. So if I have one share, I'll get 10 shares for this. Now this means that if you had 10 shares of HER Motors before the split, if you do a 1:10 split, you will get 100 shares of HER Motors post the stock split. Now, stock split can take many forms. It can be 2:1, 4:1, 5:2, and many others. But the concept basically remains the same, where the current stock is getting split. Now, in order to be eligible for a stock split, you need to hold the shares by the record date, and we spoke about all these dates before. This means that you need to buy the shares before the ex-split date. Now, remember we spoke about the same thing called record date and ex-dividend date we covered in the dividends chapter. This is similarly the same. Now, in the case of HER Motors, the record date was 25th August 2020 and the ex-split date was 24th August 2020. This means that if you wanted to get this split opportunity, you had to buy the shares before August 24th in order to be eligible for this. Now let's say you bought these shares on 23rd August. Now in this case, you would have to have shares in your Demat account in 2 trading days. That means 25th August would be your record date. Now the record date is the date on which you must hold the shares to be eligible for this stock split. Now let's understand, is there going to be any impact on the share price? Now I know you must be thinking that this stock split sounds very cool, right? And after all, you get many shares in place of one. But does it actually work like that? No. When a company goes through a stock split, the share price goes through a significant change. Now let's say that the company does a 4:1 stock split, right? Now after the 4:1 stock split, the share price will be split by 1/4. So if it's 100, it will become 25. But however, don't take this basically at a face value, because there are times where the share price isn't exactly 1/4 of what it was before. And why is that? Because demand and supply forces may cause this share to fluctuate either more or either less. So even though if 100 becomes 25, it might become 22, 21, or it might become 30, 35. All this is possible. Now let's look at that example. In the case of HER Motors, the share price went from 22,136 rupees per share to directly 2,213.6. This is a 1:10 stock split. Now, the stock split starts trading at the new price from the ex-split date. Hence, the total market capitalization of the company remains the same as before, and then after the stock split also it's the same. There's no change in the market capitalization. The market capitalization of the company is the price of basically buying all the shares of the company and is calculated by multiplying it with the price per share of a company. So basically, price of the company into total number of shares gives you the market cap. Now the question basically arises that if the stock price gets reduced in the same ratio as the stock split, then why do companies do it? And why investors like you and me should actually take advantage of this and even care about it, right? We'll come to that in the next segment. Now, let's understand why these companies go for a stock split. There are mainly 2 reasons why companies do a stock split. The first is to reduce the share price so that it's more affordable for people like me and you, which are retail investors. Now look at this. In the case of HER Motors, the stock price was so expensive that some investors could not even buy one share because it was at 22,000. Now after the stock split, it became around 2,200. So that is more affordable for normal retail investors to even buy one share. So that is why stock split is done. That is one of the main reasons. The second reason is liquidity. Now what is liquidity? Liquidity generally means how easily or quickly a stock can be bought and sold in the market. So having more stock means that it's easier for stocks to be bought and sold in the market. Okay, finally to conclude, overall stock split have a neutral action. They don't give you a positive or a negative action, it's a neutral action. They don't impact the fundamentals of the business at all. They affect the share price by making it more affordable for retail investors, but don't have any potential effect on the business. Now, in the next video, we will talk about another interesting corporate action called bonus issue.